7 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order of the Swanzey Zoning Board of Adjustment for March 20th, 2023. I will ask Sarah to call our roll and read our agenda.
Keith Tebow.
Here.
Brian Rogers.
Here.
Bill Hutwelker.
Here.
Ann Karasinski.
Here.
Lisa Thorne. Eric Callio.
Here.
Wayne Lechleiter.
Here.
James Ward.
Here.
The agenda for the March 20th, 2023 ZBA is as follows. Review and approve the minutes of February 13th, 2023. The regional impact vote, public hearing, ZBA 23-003, special exception application, Pine Grove MHP requests a special exception pursuant to section 4, articles A2M and B2D of the zoning ordinance to construct an accessory structure with a footprint larger than 1,000 square feet on property at Lat Lane. The subject property is shown at tax map 87. The lot is not on here, sorry. Lot 2, thank you.
Did you have to postpone until the next meeting, properly noticed?
No. It's properly noticed elsewhere. Lot 2 and located in the rural agricultural district and the residence district. Then ZBA number 23-004, a variance application. Timothy and Kim Carrier request a variance pursuant to section 5, article B1 of the zoning ordinance for a two-family dwelling use at 27 West Street. The subject property is located at tax map 57, lot 6 in the business district. DBA number 23-005 for a special exception, a variance and an additional special exception for Lester's Four Seasons Services has been postponed until April 17th. The applicant has requested a delay.
All of them?
Yes,
Okay.
all three applications for 23-005.
I was confused when I was reading through. There's so many.
And then other business, election of officers, ex parte communications, and other business as may be required.
Let's see, there's some minutes to take care of. From February 13th, it appears from my scratchings that myself, Brian, and Jim were here for that. And there were others, but they aren't present, so, which would have been Adam. Oh, Brian here as well.
I was remote
Yes,
Yeah.
was remote.
at the last one.
Karasinski, okay. Well, that's good.
Motion, we accept as written.
Thank you,
I
Brian.
second the motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ann. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of February 13th, 2023 as presented. Any question on the motion?
Was Eric alone?
Oh,
Yes, Eric Callio here. I'm alone in the room. Good evening.
thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian. Let's see. All those in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Election of officers. I'll ask Bill to maybe give us a nomination or two for officers as we move forward, if you will.
Is that going to be after or before?
No, we're
I'm
going
gonna
to
make a motion that we
Yeah.
nominate Brian as vice chair and Keith as chair.
thank you.
You didn't want it?
Second.
Geez, that was quick. You didn't want it, can do it.
Thank you. Any questions on the nomination? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No, it's a nay.
Oh.
So you agreed both times.
Would you like me to record that?
No.
Okay.
And what we've done at the request of one of our members is to, well, actually, before we get to the ex parte, I think if I can jump in with the Fieldstone and Lesser announcement, just underscore what's happened. I believe there's a number of you here that are here with interest in what would have been the third, fourth, and fifth application for tonight, which is the Fieldstone Land Consultants on behalf of Lesser's Four Seasons Services. The applicant has asked for this to be postponed so they can put together, I guess, a better application or a more complete application, I'm not sure, but they've asked it to be postponed, so that won't be heard tonight at all. And we will be picking that up again in April,
On April 17th.
April
Do you
17th.
do you want a motion on that?
That would be good,
Make a motion, we move applications ZBA 2305. There's a variance, special exception, and a second variance, special exception to the April 17th.
Is there a second?
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to accept the request to delay the 3 lesser applications until our next regularly scheduled meeting on April 17th. Any question on the motion?
Just, I think one of us alternates needs to be seated. It doesn't have to be either for them.
Yeah, I think if I did do that when we get to a case.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rob. All those in favor of the motion? Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So if any of you are here for that application, and you want to listen to the rest of the meeting and what we talk about and the other cases that are coming up, that's fine, but certainly if you want to make the most of the rest of your evening, you can feel free to do that as well.
You can have your time back.
That's right, that's the way to put it. It's fun.
So does that mean the Thursday
Ma'am, could
one?
you just identify yourself for
I
a
do
minute?
well.
Thank you.
The Thursday one on the 23rd for the site plan, is that postponed too?
They've made the same request.
Okay,
So it will still appear on the agenda and a similar announcement will be made.
okay, so it's not gonna be until April? Correct. Okay.
It would be the second meeting.
It will be the second meeting in April. So that's the 27th, I believe.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
What I'd also like to do here, before I go to the chair, is to move up our 7A ex parte applications up to the top of the heap here. And this is intended to be literally a discussion.
Can I interrupt?
You may.
Are we being filmed and recorded or broadcasted live? What's this guy doing here?
Oh yeah, he hasn't been to your meetings.
No.
This is Josh, who does this for the other boards as well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. And it's broadcast where? Okay.
Are we on 1301?
I believe. Sure, they're actually broadcast on channel.
And the recording is posted on the town website.
Okay, yeah.
Keith, before you get into it,
Sure.
I'd asked you to move that to the front of the agenda, but since Lisa isn't here,
Okay.
I'll withdraw that request.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's get right to work.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense to have that as a full board. We don't have that conversation,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
especially with.
Okay.
It's just kind of like that you can't show up.
All right, so what we'll do before we move into this, the first application, is we will, I will seat Wayne for Lisa. And we have public hearing set up here, ZBA 23003, special exception application, Pine Grove Mobile Home Park, requests a special exception pursuant to section 4, articles A2M and B2D of the zoning ordinance to construct an accessory structure with a footprint larger than 1,000 square feet on property at Lat Lane. The subject property shown at tax map 87, lot in,
Lot 2.
excuse me,
This is the number 2.
It's a typo, it's
lot 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Located in the rural agricultural district and the residence district. Like I explained, we'll seat Lane for Lisa, so seated for this on myself, for Brian, Bill, and Wayne.
Would you like a motion regarding regional impact?
Oh, I forgot, we jumped right over that.
I'll make that motion,
Okay,
that neither of the items have regional impact.
appreciate it. Thank you. I forgot number 6. We jumped right into the public hearings, which is our vote on regional impact. Bill's made a motion that none of the hearings that we're going to hear tonight would rise to the level of a regional having regional impact. Should we get a second for that?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded that none of the hearings tonight would have rise to the level of a regional impact. Does anyone have any question on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Bill. Okay. Now to the good stuff. Public hearing, ZBA number 23-003, a special exception application. Pine Grove Mobile Home Park requests a special exception pursuant to section 4, articles A2M and B2D of the zoning ordinance to construction accessory structure with a footprint larger than 1,000 square feet on property at Lat Lane, subject to shown in tax map 2, lot 2, and located in the rural agricultural district and the residence district. And as I said, we've sat our right, we've got Wayne sat for Lisa, and we'll take it from the applicant. Give us a sense of what you're looking to do. Just state your name.
I had maintenance in there, so I'm looking to put this building up.
Mhm.
We need a place to put our plow truck, our mowers, out of the weather. That's all it's going to be used for. But I noticed some other surrounding other properties around Swanzey.
California Brook Estates.
Yeah, they got big buildings for their mowers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Which this building, I think, is smaller than theirs. I think, I want to look at it. But that's what we're looking to do. There's going to be no maintenance shop in there, nothing like that. None of the residents will be able to use it. Strictly for throwing the truck and the mower. That's all we're looking to do. I do have a picture of the building.
Sure, we can take care of that.
We believe it's just shy over.
Let's say 1,200. If it's 30, then 30.
Sarah, did they need to go to the planning board?
It's all metal building.
All metal?
Yeah.
Questions from the board?
Concrete pad.
Wayne?
4-foot frost walls and concrete inside.
I'm not sure exactly where it is. It's hard for me to tell.
Okay.
I looked at the tax map and Lat Lane
It's
is
actually on Anthony Circle.
Yeah, that's what I was
Lat
wondering.
Lane runs right across.
Yeah,
To
it takes a
Yeah.
right turn, right, and then Anthony Circle's right there.
Yep.
So is it right at the junction of Lat Lane and Anthony Circle? Is that,
It's actually in Anthony Circle.
okay,
I don't know if you've ever been down there, South
I
Florida,
haven't, sorry.
but it's below the playground.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in that big field.
And since we've had these packets, have there been any, has anyone come forward? Anyone here this evening? Okay.
No, there haven't been any questions, comments
No comments?
on this application.
Thank you, I didn't jump over that.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Other questions, board members?
Just one. Is there a reason you choose not to do any maintenance in the garage?
No. We just want to keep it out of the weather. We're gonna grease them, our mowers, and grease our sander there, that's it.
I think he's talking
No
about
truck repairs.
changing the oil and the transmission fluid, stuff like that.
No,
None of that.
no, those are bare fields.
It's just for the,
Yeah,
Mhm.
And you will have electricity in the building?
Yeah, the electricity will be heated.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about propane heat. So, after it gets insulated.
I see that this has nothing to do with necessarily with the building, but we have 117 members of that cooperative right now. Do you know how many pads do you have? Like how big could you get? Do you know, have any idea? You're about where you are now, you're full up? Good for you?
Yeah, well,
Good for you? Okay.
yeah.
And not that it matters to your application, I'm just curious because I'm interested in these cooperatives. Did you work through the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund and create a resident-owned cooperative through them? Rock?
We are through them.
Rock.
We do have
Yep.
Rock, involved in Pilot,
Yeah.
and community home loan.
Yep.
We have paperwork in the office for people that want to buy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so they can go through.
You know, finance,
Oh, yeah, they have gone through there.
they
too.
may have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm on that corporate committee.
Good for you.
I
Okay.
know how that works.
And hopefully it all works out for you, that, you know, that you control your own future. And these, the cooperative model is a good model for ownership of these. And just, I'm glad you guys are, and I'm also glad you.
We are looking at expanding a little bit later,
Okay.
because we own all of that.
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah, I looked at all the acreage that you had back there, and, because isn't it just above there, they were planning on putting all that big solar array? So
I think-
made me think about whether they could tap into some of that, or, like you said,
That's not a bad idea.
it was just a thought, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be
No,
right
Jimmy
there,
spoke about that too.
you know, and I was just thinking about, like you said, with your expansion, you know, to keep the, you know.
Would you be replacing anything that's existing now, that you're storing things in? There's nothing at all there at all? Everything's been
They just
outside?
don't- So everything,
Well,
their
that'll
investment,
change, I hope.
We're in
Yeah.
the process of doing all these ourselves.
Say that again, I'm
We're
sorry?
in the process of doing all the meetings. That's all.
Yep,
Yeah, we do it.
within the park. You
Yeah, I
don't,
do everything. Me and him,
good for you.
plow it, sand it, mow it. Yeah, it's come a long way.
I'll
so
bet, I'll
I've
bet.
been here 5 years.
so protect their investment instead of doing what I do, which is cover my tractor with a tarp.
Yeah. Well, tarps are good.
Yeah,
Okay, tarps work.
well,
Any other
Price
questions?
going now.
Yeah.
Can't believe the price. I was stunned.
Yeah, yeah,
I was amazed by stick built versus metal building.
yeah,
It's cheaper to go metal,
okay.
way cheaper.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions? This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience here that would like to ask a question about this particular application, feel free. Eric, are you good in the back there?
Yes, I'm good. No questions here.
All right, thank you so much. Anything else you want to add before we move down to the questions? Before I close the public hearing, I just want to look at the application. Just curious, pavement around the outside of it, or is you planning any paving or anything
No,
up
I'm
to
not
it?
paving it.
Okay,
We're gonna, there is sand going up where it's gonna be at, but we're gonna hack that.
okay, okay.
We'll pave it right now.
Okay.
Not even a little
No doubt. Any other questions? Hearing none? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing? Before I get to that though, I'm sorry. I jumped over Sarah's introduction normally to this project. Is there anything from your introduction here that you want to underscore to the board members?
The only thing that I guess I would underscore, as you guys may have noticed, that this property is very large and it is in 2 districts. That's why we're asking for a special exception from 2 sections of the zoning ordinance, but they both are the exact same language in both sections.
Okay.
Because it wasn't really clear because of where the actual districts differ. I wasn't sure which district the garage would be in. I don't think it's in both, but I'm just trying to cover all of our bases here. And it is kind of deep within the park, so it's not going to be visible to any non,
As of right now,
Cooperative
it's not
residents.
in the road, but right now, it's right in the dead center of it. Those buildings as well. And the best part about it is, the kids ain't gonna be around it. There's gonna make signs to put up there. This is something I want to stress, and I stress it to the board. I was afraid to put stuff on the outside of the building because I didn't want kids getting hurt. So I have a tractor outside, they climb on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was pushing that.
Yeah, sure.
So.
That makes sense. It protects
But
the
as far
investment.
as the building located, it's right in the center of the park.
Sounds like a good spot. All right. Any other questions? Any discussion? We'll close the public hearing. Unofficially. Any questions among the board members? Any comments? Deliberations?
If it was 201 feet smaller, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
201. Something for next year. You got a planning board likes to make their changes now.
Well,
To our
that,
ordinance.
and that speaks to the fact that it's in two different districts and a single property with a single focus. I wonder if that's in their best interest to be in two different districts, or if that's something we could consider.
Well, it's still 1,000 feet regardless of the district.
True, but she's talking about rezoning.
Talking about whether the property itself is,
Oh.
you know, its future,
Yeah, because they got a couple hundred acres or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
quite a bit. Well, okay. I don't have any particular questions. I'm just interested in the fact that when they're doing what they can to protect their investment in this equipment. And, you know, not just protecting their kids, but, you know, preventing vandalism and things that can happen.
And just a little history here. Your use is sounds pretty typical, like it's pretty straightforward request. And we get a number of these though, where people want in a zone, want to put up a very large garage, and sometimes that works, meaning, you know, they have things they need to put, most of the time, they have things they want to put in there, just like you. And then other times these become sort of a nuisance in the neighborhood because they become, maybe starts to open a business up, or, you know, things coming and going, or people congregating, and it's a business now, not just a use. So we take these, you know, we take these requests pretty seriously. Yours is more straightforward than most, but, and your use of it is, you know, is certainly, it seems reasonable. Yeah. But we just don't, you know, they can become gathering spots too, you know, depending on where they're located.
And when I was reading through it, I was thinking of what uses it could have in the future. And the one that sprung to mind, because I think this way, is that, so all the people who have their homes could have storage, and, you know, they could have storage units inside the building. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna work. So we can't, we can't anticipate the future use, but we try to have some sight of what might happen later.
Yeah.
And I think we stated this, and it was maybe obvious, but I think it's important to state that it's not going to be a function hall.
Right,
You know, not
they already
gonna-
have that,
not
they
gonna-
have that gazebo thing.
Yeah. So, but that is something that again, it becomes a gathering spot as opposed to just a place to store equipment. And that's our concern that we've had in previous approvals and other ones that we ask more
We
questions.
got a gathering spot, we got a pavilion.
Yeah, you know, good for you. And I hope you gather there. That's gathering is a good thing.
I did
Yes.
miss something. Public things.
Yeah.
No,
We'll close the whole
I thought you closed it.
I did it. Oh, well, we'll reopen the public hearing.
Maybe you know the answer.
That's okay.
I had missed this, no impervious surfaces. Is this slab on grade with the building on that?
Would you be pouring a slab?
Yep.
Yeah, he said that. Frost walls too.
Yeah, they recommend that, the top of the line, add for this thing.
Oh, yeah,
And we're going by their specs.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
Makes sense. We have warranties and other things that
Right.
go along with
The
that.
warranty on the building.
All right, with the public hearing will be reclosed. Any question on the motion, or, I mean, on the case or the application from anyone? All right. Go to the questions. All right. Questions. Do we agree that the proposed use is similar to one or more of the uses already authorized in the district and is in an appropriate location for such a use? And?
Yes, it's been demonstrated in the testimony that there's other similar buildings with other, the same use, and it's in a good location within the property.
Bill?
Yes, the use is allowable, it's the size we're debating. And they gave a good example of Viewpoint with a similar building but larger, so yes.
Wayne?
Yes, based on Ann and Bill's input and the input from the applicant.
Okay. Brian?
Yes.
I concur. Do we agree that such approval would not reduce the value of any property within the district nor be otherwise injurious, obnoxious, or offensive to the neighborhood? Bill?
Yes. The neighborhood is the association, and they're clearly in favor of it, and it's not going to have any impact on adjoining aspects or parts of the district.
Okay. Wayne?
Yes, based on Bill's input.
Brian?
Yeah, there's no evidence to the contrary, and it sounds like the stuff is just kind of stored outside as jungle gyms for the kids now, so it'll actually improve the situation.
Think so? Yeah.
Yes,
I concur. Let's see. Do we agree that there will be no nuisance or serious hazards to vehicles or pedestrians? Wayne?
Yes, based on what the applicant said, they're trying to protect the kids in the park and get their equipment out of the weather and keep it away from the kids, so yes.
Okay. Brian?
I concur with Ron.
Ann?
yes,
Bill?
Yes, I agree with Wayne.
There we go. Do we agree that adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use? Brian?
Based on their application and testimony, yes.
Ann?
yes,
Bill?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
I concur. At the end of our questions, I would entertain a motion on this application.
To make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the application for special exception. Any question on the motion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We'll build it. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice presentation. Y'all are doing great things there.
Hope the next real big thing you have to do is mowing grass instead of plowing snow.
Right.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. We are to ZBA number 23-004, a variance application. Excuse me. Timothy and Kim Carrier request a variance pursuant to Section 5, Article B1 of the Zoning Ordinance for a two-family dwelling use at 27 West Street. Subject property is located at tax map 57, lot 6 in the business district. Because my organization owns an abutting property to this particular property, I will need to bow out. Brian has indicated a willingness to take on the role of chair, and I will allow him to see, it looks like a couple of alternates, one for myself and one for Lisa.
So we'll seat James for Lisa, Wayne for Keith, and Eric, you're still with us, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, you have anything for us? Tee it up.
It's kind of another really basic application. They're here for a variance because the zoning ordinance does not allow single-family or two-family dwellings in the business district unless they existed prior to 2008 or 2022, both. I can't remember the date, but prior to now, certainly.
It was last year.
It was last year's change. So a year ago, this would have been allowed in their district, but more recent amendments have changed it, so it's not allowed. However, they're not building a new duplex. They're converting a single-family home into a two-family with no changes to the exterior. The property already has 2 driveways and is about 1.5 acres. I don't believe I've missed anything. Oh, public sewer, oh, it's 2.5. Sorry. Public sewer and public water are also used at the site.
So why would this, just a question for you, why would this be under B1?
Why would it be under B1 as opposed to, oh, because I thought it made sense to put it there because it's not an allowable use. So you wouldn't ask for a variance for it being disallowed.
Well, I guess I was wondering about B2.
B2 are the special exceptions for the
Yeah.
district, and it wouldn't be allowed as a special exception because it's not multifamily.
But that's what they're making it into.
Multifamily is 3 dwellings or more.
Okay, yeah, all right. Thank you.
But didn't it change to 5 or more?
Well, the definition of multifamily is 3 or more.
But in
So,
this district,
in the district, the minimum multifamily is 5, but this isn't a multifamily because a multifamily has to have at least 3 to be considered a multifamily.
All right, well, we'll open the public hearing. Timothy, let you go ahead and tell us what you want to do and what your plan is, and walk us through it.
I mean, honestly, pretty straightforward, just dividing the current one-family home into 2. I mean, really, that's really it. No exterior changes, like she had mentioned. There's already a driveway on the other side, so I mean, you wouldn't really see or even notice it if you drove by if you didn't know it happened. It would look the same today after it's finished. Afterwards, you wouldn't know. Other than maybe 2 cars on the other driveway, whereas you obviously not on the other driveway. So besides that, it's just really it.
It's going to be for family, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this isn't an ADU,
Maybe.
an ADU where they're attaching. So we have this new, and you know this better than I do because you helped bring it into 4. But ADU is an attached dwelling unit where people come in and they want to add on so they can put their mother-in-law attached to their house. So are you going to have people who are related to you living in the other part, or is it going to be like
So it's
renters?
basically, I mean, the short version of it is that there's honestly one wall, and the whole house divides up where then I make a kitchen out of another area and one side, and it's pretty much
That's it.
done. That's
So-
literally the scope of the work should be probably $7,000.
So, well, that's what I thought, is based on when I was reading this, that you already had, that the
A
property
lot
was,
of the work sort of in this direction had already been done, and truth be told, last year, I worked on that variance change. Didn't work my way, I guess I was the only one.
yeah.
That's okay, that's my way, so.
So do you, so you, as far as the house, because I looked at the drawing, so it was originally like set up that way? It was designed, from what you
Not
can tell?
necessarily when we bought it, the people we bought it from, not necessarily, but it could have easily been converted, and that was something my wife and I always wanted to work towards.
Right.
Just never really got there.
Yeah, okay. So, I guess, is this turning it into basically like a condo where there's a
Just two-family home.
two-family home?
Yeah, separate entrances.
Okay,
Separate entrance, separate driveway.
Separate driveway, separate
so
outlet.
it's not an
Separate
attic.
garage?
That's the problem.
No, the garage is still gonna say, so my wife and I obviously will still stay on one portion of it, and, When you own the place, you get to claim the garage.
Right, so that's why I couldn't see, it looked to me as though the other unit did not have a garage, it just has a driveway, is that right?
There is two garages.
There is a shed on the other side, so I
Can you
mean,
give us your name and your address so we get for the record?
That's as well.
Okay.
Can you help orient the drawing? It looks to me like there's a staircase and a bathroom here.
okay, so let me see here. Okay, so this is existing. This goes to the basement.
So where is this staircase?
So then this staircase, this is one,
Because that's looking down.
upstairs. This is this one here. So the upstairs only goes to this section, and then the kitchen and dining room is vaulted ceilings, and this was the sunroom addition we did 4 or 5 years ago in the back. So yes, this covers all of this right there.
Any other questions of the board?
Is that the daycare?
Yeah, well, there's a head start.
Head Start, yes, right.
Yeah, Head
Yes.
Start, that's the daycare. Oh, so you're the, okay, so I did drive by this property on my way here.
Probably.
Yeah.
And your neighbor's tree fell right across in the back, did you see that? The tree right across the fence?
Yeah, out of
Yes.
our yard.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
A
on the,
few branches.
yeah.
Somewhere.
So it's a sizable lot, so, okay.
That's a new drawing.
Like if you said yes, and she's like, yes, across our yard.
Across our yard.
Anybody else? Questions? Go.
To follow up on what Ann led in with, did you consider doing this as an accessory dwelling unit as opposed to creating a two-family?
Not familiar with what you mean by accessory.
What she referred to, the acronym ADU, is accessory dwelling unit, and you're permitted under the ordinance, I'll never put straight up or by special exception, to have an accessory dwelling unit. So you as a property owner occupy one, you have, the goal, as she mentioned, was in-law, but obviously it's a little more broad than what was perhaps intended, but it accomplishes the goal of increasing the housing stock. The reason I'm asking if you considered it is that since the ordinance just changed, it's difficult for me to grant the variance. The benefit I think Sarah led into, which is that you're pre-existing, but at the same time, the planning board took that into consideration when they crafted the language to modify the ordinance. And the problem that we have is today Sarah was yesterday somebody else. So we don't have a connection to what their dialogue was and what their reasoning was. But if you consider an ADU, I don't recall, is that by right or?
I believe ADU is by right and DADU is special exception.
Okay, so you wouldn't even need to be.
DADU is detached.
But he would
But
have to build a
his-
separate structure.
Well,
It's
so
possible
my
on
question,
No,
that's my
no,
question. is-
He could do exactly what he's doing.
Oh.
As an attached accessory dwelling unit, it's included.
Okay, so I thought it had to be separate physically.
No,
Okay,
that's
That's a DADU.
okay.
Dadu.
Detached additional housing.
You
Yes.
don't have the issue that some people run into with
So,
septic.
I'm wondering if-
Public sewer.
I have a question, what would be the difference, I guess?
I'm trying to understand that myself.
We want two separate entities, and
Right.
we want to rent it out, we want to be able to do that.
Right.
At the end of the day.
You would have
With
all
that.
that.
You have to live in one of the dwellings.
So we wouldn't be able to do eventually, because our goal is we own a piece of property, and our goal is to eventually end up there.
Okay,
So that could be 5 years down the road, or that could be 10 years down the road, but that's our future goal.
okay, so that would be the part, that's the part that would make it, yeah.
But the benefit would be, if you were to go the accessory dwelling limit today, then we don't know how legislation is going to change in 5 or 10 years. But if you did worry about it later, your argument could be that you're pre-existing. This is then rental housing. I think you'd have, at least for me, it would be an easier decision than tonight because you're pre-existing. If this ordinance had changed 5 years ago and there were multiple people asking for the same thing, it'd be different, but it just changed.
I know, and that's what they do, but we are literally surrounded
And that's true
by
because you
condos,
could,
apartments, like the whole street.
and you know, the street is probably, maybe I'd say 6 houses besides the condo development, and 2 of them are already duplexes. So I don't think it doesn't necessarily stand out as different. I mean, I understand where they want the district to move, and I understand that, but it certainly wouldn't be anything different than what's already existing on the street use.
So Sarah, could you give us a synopsis for them as well as for us to understand if we move forward as it's written versus changing it to an ADU?
Well, for an ADU, they wouldn't need any relief from the ZBA.
Right, they could
So,
just go forth and build a wall and be done.
It'd be
So-
done.
I mean, I suppose they could potentially withdraw the application for the variance so that it doesn't have to be denied. I don't know if it's correct that that can be done during the public hearing. Does anybody else
If-
know? Bill says yes.
But
Okay.
before we vote on it, I don't know why it couldn't be withdrawn.
We could,
Okay,
If
also
we,
could
Once we
deny-
vote on it, then it's approve or deny, right?
we can deny it without prejudice, right? So we could,
No, they'd have to pull it
Yeah.
without us making a decision.
and I don't really want to confuse them, but because I want them to understand and us to understand what's going on. But if they went to add to do a route without, and in 10 years, they want to move to another house and we caused that, like if they have a problem, I don't foresee that. I don't foresee that would be an issue for them. I don't have a problem voting on this either way. It's just that, it might be easier if they just did the add-do. That didn't come up in your discussions with them or anybody?
I believe that was mostly discussion with Mike Jasmine.
Yeah, so, and he told me that I had to do something really like,
Okay, so the way I understand it, sorry, I'm gonna repeat it. The way I understand it now is we have a couple of options. One is you can withdraw the application as it's written and just go forth and do what you want to do as an ADU. And we don't have to hear the case, correct? The limitation on that would be down the road. If you want to rent out both apartments, you'd have to come for permission to do that, right? Because ADU means you have to live in one of them. So that would be a bridge to cross down the road if you choose to do that. The other option is to leave it as it is, and then it gets approved or denied, however the board moves forward. And then you, potentially, if it gets approved, you wouldn't have to come back in front of us.
so if we decide to continue about 5 years from now, we would go back and find out if we can then or what would that be?
Yeah.
I think that's what Bill was suggesting, and it sounds right to me as well. I think that would be,
Sounds like we're setting the groundwork for that ourselves based on this testimony.
can I be a little obstreperous here and just ask one more time? I just
Sure.
want to understand this because I'm reading in what Sarah presented for us here that it's section 5, article B, that's 5, a one-family dwelling, two-family dwelling, or the manufactured housing dwelling established prior to the adoption of subparagraph, which is what this is, shall be considered a permitted use in the business district and shall not be subject to section 11, article A of the ordinance, right? Now, what that section 11, article A says is what? I haven't got that far, but I was.
That's about non-conforming uses, non-conforming structures. It's all about non-conformity.
expanding non-conforming footprints,
Right, so,
which doesn't affect
so
what
it's
we're
not
talking
Yeah.
about.
in other words, it's not a non-conforming use. It doesn't apply to the idea of having a different use. Prior to this, the new ordinance, right, they could, go to a duplex if they wanted to. Do I understand that correctly?
I think the way that they're
Right.
already set up, yes.
Right, so it's not that this grandfathers that ability.
No,
That's what I'm just wondering, because it's, you know, it's a one-family dwelling, it's permitted use, but
right,
the fact of converting it is no longer available to them.
because it's a business district, and
Unless-
11A doesn't apply to them, but it does to others, and Wayne's
Right.
flagged his finger a few times, sorry.
That's this finger, though. you're
Go-
right.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between this applicant and the one we approved 3 meetings ago out here that went from a single family to a 2-family?
That's what I'm trying to understand.
Was that in the
Because
residence district?
aren't they in the business district?
Oh,
I
The
believe
folks
they were in the
back here?
residence
They were
district,
Residents, they're on the other side of Route 32, they're on the residence side of
but I
32.
can't
These
remember.
people
No,
over
you're
here?
right.
Well, those people here, no.
Yeah,
That's
I
different.
think,
how is that different?
I'm trying to
Because there's
remember
a
what district
business-
they are.
I think that was residential over here.
Yeah, but there's a business, okay.
Like,
I'm just
they're in
saying that they're
business.
only half a mile away. And, okay. All right, well, I'm good either way.
Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with how we've laid out our business and ag and residential. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a bomb got thrown and people just drew a line on a map. It's
Yeah.
their business, so it's different. That's the way I recall it. This one over here was residential.
Okay,
You know, you're right about that. I just was,
Answer your question.
Yeah, residential business. Yeah.
Yeah.
so we go back to the idea, if it's an ADU, they don't have to apply, they can withdraw their application. And then 5 years from now, they can either get approval here, or they would have to sell it if they were gonna move out, right? If they sold it, what would happen if they sold it?
It would be ADU, follows the property,
So the new owner would have to live on premise.
unless they came and got permission to
Right.
not do so.
Okay.
so are we making it worse if we say, okay, so third option, what if we proceed with our test this and don't approve it, and they still do the addo if they want?
That was gonna be a question, how does that affect if I decide not to withdraw it? Or turns it down, does that mean that that other option is then not on the table for us?
No, or he could do the addo if he feels like it, and then deal with it 10 years from now.
Well, I think what happens then is it would be motioned, and it'll be a record in the property file, right, that they had a denial.
Exactly.
We don't want them to come back and
So, yeah, I don't
face a
wanna- I
different
don't wanna-
board and have
okay.
a denial in
All right.
there.
Okay,
It would have to be, unless the law changes substantially, or even if the law changes a little bit, but the application would have to be substantially different to reapply for a variance for the same thing. However, as Bill stated, it's possible our ordinance will not disallow duplex in the business district come 5 or 10 years. It's hard to know. But if everything is the same as it is today, and you reapplied for this variance, and you had been denied, it could not pass.
And that's by statute.
Yeah, you don't want to come back with the same thing. So I think, from my point of view, it makes sense for you to withdraw right now, and then,
Yeah, so let me summarize again where we are, and then you make the decision. There's no right or wrong. We're not trying to influence your decisions. We're just giving you the information. You're the property, right? So I'll run to the summary here again. Correct me if I go astray, okay? So option 1 is we move forward as you've written it. If it ends up in a denial, then you could certainly just throw the wall up and go the ADU route, but then you couldn't come back and ask for the same thing again, because there's already denial on record. It's called the second bite at the apple. Your application would have to be substantially different than it is written today for it to be re-heard. Option 2 is you withdraw this application so there is no action on it, right? And then it's removed from the record. You do your ADU thing, and then down the road, you come to the board, come to Sarah, hopefully she'll be still here, and you come in and ask for a variance to make that from an ADU into a duplex situation. Option 3 is we just drop the whole thing and forget all about it.
So
Yeah, I
with
don't-
that in mind, if they withdraw their application, because I know we started charging for that, but I don't remember when that happened, because,
In August.
so can they have that money back? If we aren't voting on it? I mean, is that, or am I just being cheap? Sorry.
We can't do
That's true.
it. We can't.
Because
We
they,
can't do that, we
We can't
can't.
do it.
Yeah, they still had to go through the application process.
Yeah,
You
but is
still
that
had
their
to
fault,
do
or
all
is
the
it Mike
paperwork
Jasmine's?
and-
No, I think that our discussion has led to them reconsidering their options, but before that, they had to pay the money to find that out, so I think
Okay.
it's probably, it's Sarah's time and our time and missing that, I think it's probably, I can't give feedback.
Do you guys want to take some time to talk about it between yourselves?
No, I think we're, yeah, I think we would like to talk about that.
Okay. And we don't want to influence your decision. Make sure you're doing what you want to do, okay? Okay.
And this does allow you, if you change your mind, to come back.
Like, you could come back a month from now
Yeah,
if you want to change your mind,
if
so.
you want to change your mind.
I'd recommend for your budget to wait a little bit longer because their decision and process will likely be unchanged in a month.
Whose decision?
I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying,
No new information will come to light.
You do know this is Swanzey, right?
I do know this is one.
Okay, so do we have a motion on that? Do we have to take a motion on that? We don't have to? Okay, so your application then, as far as we're concerned, is officially withdrawn. So we're not going to hear anything. We're not going to make a decision. You can go forth and build your wall, and just be clear that if you have any questions, contact Sarah afterwards or Mike. Yeah, Mike Jasmine. But there should be no issue for you to just make it an ADU at this point, as long as you're living in one of them. And when that goes to change, contact her and Mike and jump through the hoops. Make sense? Perfect. Perfect. Have a good night.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you.
That is called accessory dwelling.
Should you close the public hearing?
Never heard.
Oh, make a motion to close the hearing, public hearing. Anybody?
Second,
Okay.
by unanimous consent?
Okay. We don't have to vote on that?
I generally don't have to close it.
Okay. Public hearing's closed. Have a good day. Bye.
You done recording?
Good job.
And as we are going to, well, if it's okay, I'll pick it up where we left off. Thank you, Brian. Since we're gonna punt the ex parte conversation till we get our
Okay.
new folks, I think we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait.
Oh, wait. That motion, the president's got stuff for us. The president's big checks.
I don't want
Big
get
checks
stuff.
we're supposed to have. Oh,
Yeah, big checks.
big checks.
Did you want to have that annual vote, or do you want to wait? for it?
We can wait. Look at
Come
this.
that way.
Yeah, I just passed them down.
Do you want the old ones?
No?
I'm just gonna say, no, I don't want them. You guys might want to keep them for your own referencing purposes until every application that we have right now
I cycled through.
has cycled all the way
And
through.
then we should recycle these because this paper, we make a lot of money off this paper.
That's true.
Yeah, well,
We'll have to do all that.
Other restrictions on the
Are we still recording?
Yeah. I
less than
know, that's
1,000
why I was
feet.
And we have not
1,000
adjourned,
square feet,
right?
a door between
We
the
have
two.
not.
Thank you. Again, since we're gonna move the ex parte conversation forward, we have no more business to attend to.
I make a motion that we
No, before we
stop
do that,
recording.
before you do that, Wayne brought up a good point. It was in the back of my head, but just wasn't right now.
What's that, Wayne?
Oh, there's a bunch of restrictions for AADU. I just hope we didn't leave, less than 1,000 square feet. There's gotta be a door in between. I hope they just don't think they can go and do it without talking to Mike Jasmine. Am I wrong?
Did they leave?
You're not necessarily wrong. I don't know the other information on their application. The square footage isn't pointed all the way out because it wasn't necessary to know the square footage for it to be a duplex.
It's roughly 1,500 square feet.
Total? Or
Total?
The
Okay.
whole house.
No, the total
If
house
you-
is,
If you
whole
take
house?
out the basement and the front porch.
Okay.
1,500.
Oh, so they're
that's
gonna be
within
way
a
under,
1,000 square feet.
they'll be under the limit.
That'll be under-
That's what I thought.
that was gonna be my
But the door
third,
in
my
between
third question
may
was,
not be
and I
the-
didn't wanna say
That
it,
should be fire. Fire code, that's-
I'll wait till we're done.
Okay.
Well, just had a question, and I don't know if bring it up now or after the meeting, but if they went ahead with their application, could they do a detached, a dadu later if they had an elderly parent? Like, let's say they put in a garage and wanted to put a dadu as part of that. If they do an adu now, they can't do a dadu later?
Doesn't that do?
But they'll have a CADU at the time, because the CADUs are coming down from Concord.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. But are we,
No, it's an interesting question.
I just,
Yes,
I mean, can you have an attached
Bill's
dwelling unit
gonna
and
be on the
then, you know,
Longhorn
because
on the front.
I don't believe we can have both right
you
now.
can have
Two,
dadu.
yeah, we can have two,
I
You
believe
have
it
an adu and a
specifies,
dadu.
I believe it specifies one. But if they had a duplex, they could then potentially request a dadu.
Okay,
As long as the duplex, because a duplex is not an ADU.
Right. But I'm not, I would have to read through to,
okay, well, you
Make
can
that
call,
official.
you can call them tomorrow and tell them we have to talk again. Did we make a motion to adjourn?
I thought we were going
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'm just wondering, based on what y'all just asked, if, even though the public hearing was closed, if it would be procedurally proper to give them a continuance for a month. Just from the standpoint that, yes, they withdrew, but it would keep, there's nobody here other than Josh, it would keep the opportunity open that if they met with Mike Jasmine and he said, oh, you gotta do A, B, C, and D, and they said, well, time out.
I would second that motion.
I don't know.
We'll go ahead and continue them for,
Phil, was that a motion
Yeah.
that you
Well,
were
I'm asking-
making?
I'm asking for,
it's a good question. We should do
I
it.
think it'd be
Yeah, I
fair to
think-
the applicant to do that.
Yeah, make them come back.
No,
We're leaving it open
For them.
so that if it's necessary, they can without any additional expense.
Yes,
So do we have to have a motion on that then?
we just did.
well,
Sarah's got it. She's
I
really
second
got
it.
it.
Oh, perfect. So all in favor?
We
Aye.
haven't got a second yet.
Huh?
And
and
seconded.
second.
Oh, she did. Oh, gosh.
Yes,
she's
she
quick.
did.
Yeah, and I'll let them know. I'll send
Yeah.
them
Tell them it's my,
correspondence
tell
tomorrow.
them it's my fault.
Well, no, just tell them that they should check with Mike
No, it's the
Jasmine
right
before they
thing.
give up on this idea.
No, it's the right protection. That's a really good idea.
It's fair, yeah.
And then if they don't need it,
And they don't need it.
then they don't need it, and then
At our
it
next
just,
meeting, we
then it just closes next month anyway, right? Because we haven't continued it.
Sounds good. I feel good about that.
That's why they pay them the big bucks.
Yeah, we're gonna take that motion, right? Aren't we, Keith? Double our pay?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Every year we've been doing that.
We've been doing.
You know, and we're getting somewhere with
It's
that.
like the grant.
It just started as $1. What would
We
it
had
be
only done that
25
first,
years
right?
later?
Yeah.
Greater sand on the chessboard, right?
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We do, right?
Oh, yes.
Do we have a
Second?
second? Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.